Alright, hello, welcome. You're listening to the most popular trading show in this small town I live in. My name's Frank, this is No More Paper. I will continue to do this despite not having anyone join because I get a lot of benefit from it. As work picks up, I might do it less, but that's alright. I have no intentions of growing this for financial gain, direct financial gain. Of course, the benefits I get from this will be benefits to my trading, which is financial gain, but I'm never going to sell signals or email subscriptions or anything like that. There's so much free knowledge out there for trading. It's more about getting your head straight and getting organized enough to trade better. There should be no reason to pay anyone any money, especially not a mentorship. So if I get really, really good at trading, I would voluntarily take on mentorships because it's the last step in truly learning something is teaching it. So if anyone's out there trying to sell mentorships, they're not a good trader. Simple as that. They're a good hustler. And it takes a lot of traders a long time to realize this. And some never do. Some give up before realizing it. And others just continue to call it a scam just because there's scammers in it. You don't consider the entire internet a scam just because there's a lot of scammers on the internet. So why would you consider trading a scam because there's a lot of scammers in trading? See what I mean? Same thing with Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin's about 90% scammy because it's illusion of money. Well, everything's illusion of money. All right, I digress. Let's get into the news. Let's see what happened. Initial jobless claims came in lower than expected. I have not seen the reaction yet. My chart froze, which has never happened before on Sierra charts. It claimed it was downloading historical data. I mean, it does that when it first opens, but I've never had it do that mid-swing. But it's kind of strange. The reaction from the market was very minimal. I would think that the fact that jobless claims are lower than normal would be bad news for the market, or would at least solicit some type of reaction. I don't know. What am I doing? I want to verify that my charts are presenting properly. Yeah, they are. So before that happened, before the news release, it was looking like we were going to reject previous month's close, which isn't that long ago. That was last week's. The market hasn't really been paying much attention to that close, somewhat. But we ripped right through it. I accidentally put in a short, forgetting about the news event, and then I have alerts that alert me, like, hey, here's a news event, because I am so forgetful. So I just got out with a short gain, even though every sign was showing it was going to fall away from the close. But now we continue to go up. In the short term, of course. Later on today, we also have existing home sales. I don't know if it's going to be large reaction in markets or not. It's been a major news item for some time now. Nobody's selling homes. That's what happens when you print tons of money and insure government loans to people that can't pay them. Friday, we've got unemployment rate. No, that's for Canada. Never mind. Yeah, that didn't make sense either. Tomorrow we actually have nothing for America. Let's check the headlines. This tiny component could be Wall Street's next. So they've been pushing this and pushing this and pushing this. The AI trades back. The AI trades back. You look at the charts, there's no way it's not back. So if you believe the line that the news, the media, is the mouthpiece for Wall Street, which, I mean, I believe it, you should too. Why wouldn't it be? Then you could think that they are using these positive pump-up news stories presented in just a way to get the normies to buy into the market, thinking, getting enough FOMO. Thinking, wow, look how much it's risen. It's down a little bit right now. There's still room for this to go higher, without knowing how overextended the market is. Now, to be fair, I thought the market was overextended earlier this year, and we rocketed higher. But the main point I'm trying to make is they often do this in order to build positions to sell. So they want you to buy so they can get a better position to sell their shares into. If they were really independent, they'd be sharing all the news articles about people unloading shares, the big players. You never know. The point I'm trying to make is you never know, and you can't trust anything. Especially, you have a story coming out, workers keep leaving the U.S. labor force, experts can't agree why. We just got numbers that it's lower than normal, or lower than expected. Is it actually higher than expected? Look at it. S&P 500 Nasdaq futures rise as AI hopes blot out war jitters. I mean, I can look right at the chart. Do they think I can't look right at the chart? On Monday, they had the same rhetoric. Actually, I think that was Tuesday. Whatever day, and then we had a huge drop. That should tell you. That should tell you right there. They're pumping the market to sell into it. Now, whether that's happening in the long term or the short term, I don't know. But when you hear them say something, when they're pushing the AI trade, be careful. You're always best coming to your own conclusions. Jim Cramer says chip stocks have gone parabolic. Okay, sure. Which ones? Nvidia's up quite a bit. Who the hell knows why? Again, it won't last. Nvidia really deserves to be in the toilet, if you ask me. And circular financing should be illegal. Actually, I think it is. It's just, you know, when everybody's doing it, it's not illegal anymore. It's a common political game. It's very often done in Russia, where you make it commonplace. You make corruption commonplace, and then you choose, as the leader, you choose who to go after for the corruption. Saying, you know, this is bad, you should have known better. But everyone's doing it. But that's not a defense. And then off to Siberia. And it is becoming more and more common in the Western world as well. We really are becoming like a, what's the word they use? Technocracy? Except what I think is going to happen is these tech companies are going to crash. There's going to be widespread rejection of them. And I hope it happens soon. Because they've run out of ideas. They no longer offer any value. They're surfing off of, you know, the value of the internet created 20, 30 years ago. I don't really feel like going into any more. It's all depressing and misleading. PepsiCo failed. It's just more examples of certain very small parts of the market are healthy. The rest of it is in alarm mode. People are going to start spending less and less, especially as inflation continues to rise, which it will, because they're just going to continue to print money. Everyone focuses on rates, but yet doesn't matter. Rates haven't moved, but they continue to issue bonds and buy them back again and again and again. Almost behind the scenes, it's like an open secret. And as that continues, well, this is just going to keep happening. You're going to have a weird situation where a small demographic thinks we couldn't get any better, but the majority is hurting. But the crazy thing is, even that small majority, the Nvidias, the Googles, the Metas, whatever, they're fake. A lot of their revenue is fake. And it's like everyone knows it, and at some point things are going to explode, but nobody knows when. Perhaps they can keep the lie up for another 20 years. We don't know. We shall see. All right, let's take a look at charts, see if I can pick anything out. Yesterday we made another attempt to go below .50 SMA and hold there. We actually went below it and built up some volume. It didn't last. We did reject the overnight low. And rocketed right back up after that. I will show it on the I actually called this. Early in the morning, I have a sheet that I do predictions and plans, basically a homework sheet, where I put in the story of the market. For example, it's a yesterday news of war in the morning brought the market down, covered slightly before the open. At the open, pulled back to support at the overnight low and rallied from there on low, what I consider low volume. This is a weak rally. I don't have a specific thing I can point to for that. It's just a feeling I get from looking at individual volume, as well as, right towards the close there's a huge sell-off. So this is a weak pump in order to sell some shares towards the end. I'm surprised the overnight actually went up, which is why I'm a little confused this morning. But anyway, this homework sheet, then I give my most likely scenario. And then after that, I plot key areas higher, key areas lower, and then a couple if-then scenarios. If price hits resistance above us at da-da-da-da, then I do this, this, and this. Usually, I'd say on more than half of the days, one of those if-thens come true. The problem is, can I catch it? Can I catch the move? So I called this move. I called that the overnight low would be significant because after this huge sell-off, this is where we held. So I knew buyers were defending this area. So I knew it would be defended again. The problem was I couldn't trade this. I had to leave at 11:30. It's just the way it happens, and I'm still not comfortable leaving trades go for long periods of time. With Sierra charts and AMP futures, I feel more comfortable. With interactive brokers, I do not. All right, as we go into the open, this one, very clean moves here in the morning. I missed this one. I've been trying more and more lately to get into my desk earlier and earlier. Sometimes there's just too many things to do in the morning. Sometimes I just fart around. But some very clean moves starting around 4 a.m. This, I should have caught this specifically. price was selling underneath VWAP, failed to go lower than the value area low, actually failed yesterday's close, going lower than yesterday's close. And as soon as price came back into value area low and opened or closed, that should have been key, that we were going to go at least a point of control, if not the other side of the value area. And we did. It's exactly where we went to. I don't know why I didn't trade it. I was right here is when I got to my desk. But until I can put all the pieces together and remember what I'm doing, I felt it was too late. I felt that we might have rejected VWAP. It's not looking at it long term enough, looking at it in the shorter term. That is one of my biggest issues, is time length. Figuring out how long do I want to be in this trade? What kind of trade? Is it a long-term trade? Is it a short? I have so much trouble with that. It's hard for me to grapple with that. It really is. But this should have been a slam dunk. This should have been as clear as day. I would not take this trade because A, we're too close to the open. That's always my problem too. I want to trade. I wish I could trade from like 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. to 8:30 every day. But, that's unrealistic where I'm at. Because around the open, it's important to watch it, but I don't yet trade it. I don't know if I ever will. But getting into a trade right now, especially one where you're rotating from one value area high to the value area low, doesn't make sense. At the open, we create a new value area almost immediately because the inrush of volume. I'm actually kind of looking forward to 24-hour trading. Maybe that would change that. I don't know. You have been seeing, I don't know how true this is, but this is just a feeling I get, that volume has been increasing in the mornings. We used to have sparse volume up until 8:30. Now we're starting to get increases in volume, always starting back at 4, which I think is when the pre-market actually starts right now, is 4 a.m. Somewhere around there. That's when the VIX starts taking values. So that's what I would assume is when the pre-market happens. Speaking of the VIX, let's look at that before I go into what I think is going to happen today. We're rising in the VIX before falling. Historically, we're quite low. This is somewhat where I get some of my bearish feelings from, is the fact that we are pretty low on the VIX, and yet we're not making all-time new highs. Earlier this year, getting this low on the VIX would correlate to lots of buying, and it's not right now. So, I mean, that kind of has me leaning towards large players unloading slowly. They're manipulating the market at this upper range to unload shares slowly as they prepare for a bear market. Now, some people even say, and I have this thought sometimes, that bear market will never exist again. We might get huge drops, like sudden drops, over 2 weeks we lose 20% or something crazy like that. But we don't have true bear markets where sustained selling for a long period of time. For one, there's just too much free money floating out there. By free money, I mean free for not you and me, free for corporations. They're constantly using their assets. They're putting themselves into a corner by doing this, but they're using their potential to take loans out. I mean, that's how most loans work. They work on potential future value. So they take a loan out based on potential future value that's not going to pan out. No one is figuring out how to make money off of AI, except for NVIDIA, and even NVIDIA has to fudge that. So what are they going to do when not only is AI going to be a shit investment, but they're going to have to pay back these loans based on something. Yeah, who knows what's going to happen? But my take is that Wall Street sees this. Wall Street knows this. I don't know. I just have that feeling. I think we can consolidate for a while. I don't know. I've been wrong so many times. I'm reluctant to say anything because then it affects me subconsciously in my trading. Despite, I could not have a bet at all, one way or the other. And because I basically want markets to pull back, want markets to fail, because I want a healthy economy. I want a healthy stock market. And right now it's not. So if I see markets relentlessly go up, that makes me feel like shit. And that's not the way it should be. I should be neutral. It's hard to separate the two halves. All right, the dollar, kind of flat, although still elevated. We're still the $1, almost 101. We haven't been this high since earlier this year. That makes it harder on companies to borrow. Also, yields. Yields are, we're just heading higher and higher as an average. That's what happens when you can't repay debts. It's just the way it is. 30-year yields are even scarier. Not looking good. All right, returning to what I think is going to happen today. As always, I don't know. You plan out for several different scenarios. Scenario one, let's say we push higher. We're looking at, right now, resistance at possibly yesterday's high, although we haven't tested it yet. I would wait to see if we test it, what happens. If we bring point of control up there, I would be, well, that goes for any of these levels. We have, this is the naked value area from yesterday, 2 days ago. We still haven't tested. That I think we will definitely bounce off of. That's also a previous initial balance high that has not been tested. So expect resistance there. In fact, I'm going to add an alert. You know what? I wouldn't want it so close. I want it a little bit further away. But we have a lot to get through if we go past this. I don't think we would in one day. That also, right above it, is also current range is high. If you look at, I drew a range since 29th, so that would be the 30th. CR charts has this weird thing where some charts are a day behind, just because of the way futures are and how Sierra charts runs. I don't know if they could ever fix it, just because it's hard coded in. I don't know, but it makes it very confusing trying to figure out what day is which, because this chart shows the correct day. Yeah, so that was the 30th. Monday, that'd be Friday the 30th. Pretty sure that's Friday the 30th. See? It confuses me already. Anyway, I started drawing this range. The top of the range, which we rejected on Tuesday of this week, we hit it almost exactly and rejected it. Look for that to be major resistance. If we get over that, I would say we're making all-time new highs. Obviously I don't want us to, but what I want and what happens are two different things. Alright, the other scenario. I mean, you could basically break up any day into three scenarios. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to stay in the middle. Now, there's many variations of each one, but kind of what it boils down to. If we head lower, previous day's close, look to that. That would be a minor key area, I would say. We held there once already. We broke it in the overnight. Oops, I'm on the wrong chart. We broke through it in the overnight. Managed to stay above it. Tested it once and held. We'll see if we test that again. I don't know. Below that, we still have the monthly pivot point, which I'm about ready to remove. They just kind of get in my way. Yeah, also right below previous day's close is yesterday's initial balance high, which is acting more like a magnet than a key area that will bounce off of. So I could actually see if it's not if we weren't opening in 25 minutes, I would probably get into a short from here down to that level. I think that's almost acting as a magnet right now, especially if we fail to try to push above point of control. It is interesting that point of control is so high up. Some would call that bullish, but I'm not convinced. I think price action is actually quite bearish right now. We are very close to pulling it down, the amount of volume we have. I think the open will actually pull it down. We'll see. It's always very difficult to say exactly what's going to happen. We still have the 50 simple moving average. It's roughly in this area. I still don't know why I don't think I have the time. It's different on different charts, basically. So this is a daily 50 SMA, and I understand that it's not going to update as immediate, but it's so far different from the 50 SMA on my daily charts. But the reason I don't really care is because I don't use it as a key area. I use it more in my macro explanations on a longer term scale. But there's just too much down here. Too much mess. I would say the major would be initial balance low. That is, oh wait, no, we broke that yesterday and then broke it again. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, heading lower. I would say I would point out to none of these except for previous day's close, initial balance high. You would have to wait to see how price reacts with any of these. Naked value area, that's an exception. We could very well push to that area to see what happens. So yesterday we did have, if you look at daily chart, we had unfinished auction up here. Very low volume. We've now went up there. We couldn't even make it to, yeah, I'm kind of bearish. Couldn't even make it the previous day's high. We could shoot up there at the open. But you see on here how we filled in. Volume was low up here, meaning price never established value, which is why we tried to do that in the overnight. We're exploring discovery, I guess they call it. So now that we could very well push lower from there. This also happens to be the point of control of the wider range. So we'll see. Things are just looking bearish to me. But I think that's all I have. Any more analysis would just be more conjecture and more confusing. All right, good luck, goodbye. I will be here tomorrow. Hopefully I get at least one bot watching. That would be nice. Goodbye.